Welcome to this week's episode of Bridge to Faith. I'm your host, Yusuf Estes, and for the next few minutes we're going to be talking about faith, what it is, how you can get it, and how it applies to today's world. After that, we're going to be talking about using the English that we already know to learn something about the Arabic language. And then following that, we'll have somebody's particular story of their bridge to faith. All of that and more is coming up right here. We've been talking about the subject of faith and what it is, how we understand it, and how we put it into practice today. One of the things to keep in mind is that as we go through our lives, it's like being on a journey. We're always going from point A to point B. And we really have gone through our life and we realize that you can't go back and change anything. There's a famous saying in Islam that tells us to be in this life as a traveler. And it makes sense. Don't try to pick up things that you can't take with you. For instance, we're on a train right now. We're on our way to Dusseldorf, here in Germany. If someone were to offer us, for instance, a free swimming pool, that sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? But where would you put it on a train? It wouldn't make any sense at all, would it? Or if somebody offered you a nice new car, well, that sounds great, but if you're going to stay on the train, where are you going to put the car? So just as a traveler really wouldn't want to pick up a lot of extra baggage and things that they can't really take with them, in the same way, we should consider this life, that there are a lot of things that we might want, but you can't take it with you. The famous saying is that you just can't take it with you, meaning your wealth, money, things that people strive for every day. To be on a journey in this life is to remember that each thing that you do along the way is what is valuable to you. The things that you experience are more valuable to you than the things that you collect. And that's really what being on a journey is all about, is for the experience, for the opportunity to go and see and share and be a part of something. And in the same way, if we treat the life like that, it's a lot more beneficial to us. When we think about faith, we talk about beliefs. There are certain things that we always come back to, and that is, one, knowledge. You must have some kind of knowledge of something to be able to have any faith in it. Otherwise, it's not really faith. It's just accepting without any kind of idea what you're talking about. But along with the knowledge, there is a certain amount of information that you have that you can prove. And then there are certain things that you will accept to go along with that because it makes sense. If we see an automobile coming down the road, we look at that car and we say that's a BMW, or we'll say that that's a Mercedes. We'll say it's a Volkswagen, or maybe here in Germany they'll call it a Volkswagen. But we don't have to see the manufacturer of the car to know that it was manufactured. We can take that for granted. That goes along with it. We have that kind of faith that it's sitting here, it's got the emblems on it, it must be from that factory. Maybe we've never been in an automobile factory in our lives, but we still accept that there are automobile factories. In the same way that we look at the creation around us and we realize there must be a creator. If we see creation, there must be a creator. Some people might deny that and say, no, everything came about by chance, just by accident. There's no real plan behind it. If you would ask that same person where this came from, that came from, he would have all kinds of theories for you. But suppose we offered to him that this train made itself. Just one day, there was tracks that just showed up, and here's the train sitting on the tracks. He'd laugh you off the planet. He would never accept that. You say, well, you won't accept that a train track can build itself, that a train can make itself. But you accept that the whole universe could make itself. Another idea, suppose somebody told you that a tornado went through a junkyard. A tornado went through, picked all the metal up, threw it up into the air real fast, and then it all came down, and it's a brand new car with the motor running. You would never accept that idea. Yet how do you explain where everything came from? So there's some logic that goes along with the knowledge. We use our brain, and we begin to realize that there are some things we can observe and understand. There are some things which we can observe. Maybe we don't know everything about it, but we can assume logically that there is a creator of everything, and along with that there would be a purpose. What would be the purpose of building a road and you're not going to have it go anywhere? What would be the purpose of having the railroad tracks and you don't have a train to go anywhere? It wouldn't make any sense. So this is how we would understand the faith. We're ready now to go to the portion of our program we call Arabic and English. We're going to be using the English to learn Arabic. And while we're doing that, by the way, make a note of our website for Arabic and English. It's called ArabicandEnglish.com. Welcome to Arabic and English. As we're traveling on our journey, I thought it would be interesting for us to talk about how to use our English to better understand, learn, and use the Lughat Arabiya. Some of the things that we have a difficulty when we're trying to learn another language is how to pronounce things. Well, here in Germany, for instance, they have a letter, it's a U, and it has 2 dots over it, and they say "ew," like "ew," you know? Like we're going to Dusseldorf. It has this U with the 2 dots. So somebody has to teach you how to pronounce it. Well, there's some letters also in the Arabic language that need to have some clarification on how to pronounce them. One of those letters is called Ain. Ain. Try to say it. Most likely, when a person first begins using English, they'll say Ein. Ein. It's not Ein, it's Ein. You got to put in the back of the throat. Ein. But how am I going to do that? Well, because I'm from Texas, I have a bit of a clue for you. You can use the word that we use in Texas all the time. We don't say isn't, we say ain't. If you say, for instance, he isn't going to do it, hey, I ain't going to do it. If you say, I'm not going to do it, I ain't going to do it. Ain't. So try that. Ain't. That is the ein. Now the other letter that's very similar to the shape of the ein has a dot over it. It's the same letter with a dot over it. That's ein. But watch how you pronounce this. It is ra. Ra. Not ga, like a G, ga, like get. It's ra. Usually in English we use GH to represent it, but that doesn't mean anything. But just try this. Ra. You can say this. I don't know how to get that. All right. We know that we said I ain't gonna do it, and your mother said you're gonna do it. Yeah. Practice that a little bit. Ra, ra, from the back of the throat. Ra and ain. Now there's another letter in Arabic language. It's very difficult, and this letter is only found in the Arabic language. The Arabic language is called the language of the Bod. Bod. Now, how do I pronounce this thing? Well, they show you in diagrams and pictures a cutaway view of a person's throat and their mouth and their tongue and all of it. But when you look at it, it kind of grosses you out. And you go, "Bah, that really looks stupid." Well, you're getting close, actually. Bah. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was one of the best of those who could pronounce this letter. And he would put his tongue forward and touch the left